Well, today my plan was to talk about the actual class, on-campus class that I taught last semester based on some of the content I developed for the MOOC. So if you have any questions about MOOC, please ask me later because I want to focus on the actual teaching that I did last semester in today's talk. So basically, here's the course. I did run a MOOC called Making Sense of News. That was a 6-week course based on the area we call news literacy. And because this was a 6-week is short course, your university professors normally one semester consists of 13 to 14 weeks. But this one was only a 6-week course. And also, I designed the course for the general public. So the content of the course was much lighter than what I teach on campus, right? So that was the MOOC. And then I taught Principles of Journalism and the News Media. That's a on-campus class, and it's a compulsory class for first-year journalism students, and it's an elective course for the rest of the students on campus. It's open for everybody, and I'll show you the makeup of the students later on. But this one's 14 weeks. So what I did was to take some elements from the MOOC and use that to teach this course to, how do you say, to supplement, so to speak. So anyway, I had 127 students in total who enrolled in the course, and they were divided in 7 tutorial groups. Last semester, the class was offered on Tuesdays, and we had 14 weeks, including reading week. So I had to teach 13 weeks. First week is in introduction. And you know what happens during add and drop period. Many students are shopping around. They show up in the first week. They never show up in the second week, and they drop out. So the first week, we don't really do, well, I don't really do real teaching, right? It's an introduction of the subject and my plan. So let's discount the first lecture. And also the final week, I do a semester review. So I don't really do real lecturing, right? So out of 8, I would say only 6 is the actual lecture, right? So I did 6 lectures face-to-face. And the other 5 lectures were done online. For this online portion of the semester, I used the videos that I created for the MOOC. I used the online exercises that I created for the MOOC. And I also gave the same assignments that I gave to the general public students in the MOOC to my own students. So I pretty much used all the material I developed for MOOC in my actual on-campus teaching, right? But again, I said the MOOC course was a bit lighter than the actual course that I teach on campus. So I added a lot of readings and some other things for the students to do in my on-campus teaching. All right, we kept the tutorial. Tutorial is 50 minutes once a week. And I did all the 7 tutorials with my teaching assistant, An Choi, who's sitting there. So my idea was to cancel those 5 lectures so students don't have to be on campus. They can take the lecture whenever they want. But in that lecture, we tell them what to prepare for the tutorials in the following week. And the tutorial, and then I will be there and then, facilitate discussions among the students. So students have to watch those videos, do the exercises, and be ready for the actual tutorial discussions and other activities. I used Moodle for this. And the Moodle, I don't know how many of you use Moodle. So the online portion of the course looked like this. Second week was online lecture. I talked about press releases and information neighborhoods. So students first have to watch the video. And then here are some links to the actual news examples that I mentioned in the video. And I also explain a little bit. And all these blue words and sentences and phrases are links. So students are expected to click and read those articles online, right? And then move down, they have my colleague, Ann Kruger, who also helped me develop the MOOC. They have to watch this summary video to sort of summarizes the concept that they have to have grasped after watching my video and reading those materials. right? And then they can move on. Right, and next topic, the video. And here I says, please download this PDF and do the exercise. So when students watch this video and then read this, they will get the PDF document with the blank grid, right? And they're supposed to spend some time filling this grid with their own words, right? I asked them to define what journalism is. What is the primary goal of journalism? How's that different from entertainment, right? What about promotion? So students have to do all these, right, when they study by themselves. So, and they do that, they watch the video again, and there are some more links to the readings. And then I said, okay, now you can download this one, and here's one example answer. Compare your notes with this. And when you come back to the tutorial, you will also compare your own definition with your classmates' definition, and you will discuss, right? So every week, it's like this. When I designed the online portion of the course, it starts with the video, lots of links to the readings, and then 1 or 2 or 3 exercises. Sometimes exercises can be multiple choice quizzes, and it's easy to implement that on Moodle, right? So that's how we did it. And here is the main learning activity that they have to bring back in the following week, week 3. So basically, they have to find this concept of blurred lines of the information neighborhoods, right? Something that looks like journalism, but it's actually advertisement. Something that looks like journalism, but it's more for entertainment purposes. Apple Daily news videos, for example, right? So they have to find those examples and sort of explain which part is journalism and which part is entertainment. So here is an example. And the third example I have in here actually comes from the student I had in the MOOC. So this student really liked my course. She did an assignment. She liked the assignment. And she's an American student. She personally ran this personal blog. She posted her assignment on blog and messaged me on Facebook. So, you know, I had hundreds of students taking that course. Actually, initially, I had 2,500. So there's no way I could read all the essays. But she messaged me on Facebook, and she says, hey, I posted my essay on my personal blog. Check it out. So I did. It was brilliant. It was the best essay on this assignment ever I have read. I don't know her background. She could be a PhD holder in media studies. I don't know who she is. But her essay was excellent. So I use this as an example for my student as well. So MOOC and on-campus teaching can be really, you know, can really help each other. So this was an example I used for that as well. If you have any questions, please just stop me. So these are the students I had in my class. I had BJ, stands for Bachelor's of Journalism program. So I had 29 journalism students, but the rest comes from everywhere. I had more students from Faculty of Arts than journalism program, actually, 32. And there are some from accounting and finance, some from engineering, some from law. Right? And majority of the students I had was first-year student. And this is something important to note, probably, because today my idea was to show you the results of the exit survey. I actually surveyed the students and asked them whether they liked online lectures or not, right? Keep in mind that 70 students I had was the first-year students, so they don't really have much reference point. It was the first time for them to study at the university level, right? And it was the first semester. So I think that's something that we should keep in mind when we analyze the data, right? If everybody was fourth-year student, they might have said completely different things because they have taken more face-to-face on-campus courses compared with first-year students. But anyway, this was the breakdown. This is the breakdown. First year, second year, third year, fourth year, and I had 6 exchange students in class. This is the grade distribution. In the end, from teacher's point of view, I don't really see major difference between doing all 14 weeks face-to-face versus making half of it online. If you, I have changed the assignment slightly because I was doing it online. So I can't directly compare my experience in the past and my experience this semester or last semester. But I can tell you that if I look at the exam results, if I look at the quality and the standard of the assignments, I don't really see that much difference between the last semester and the previous semester. And I was just talking with my TA over lunch today that my personal observation is that if you look at the activities, engagement of the activities, and the level of discussions we had in tutorials, this semester was much better than any other semesters I had, because students had much more time to prepare for the discussions. And also, I think there was a huge peer pressure, right? Everybody was studying on their own by looking at all those videos and everything. So I think they had a fear that everybody else is really ready for the discussion. I'm not the only one. I don't know the reason, but discussion was great. But anyway, so here's the grade distribution. Mostly in B range. I mean, it's very typical grade distribution, you can say. Right, so at the end of the course, I asked these 6 questions, and you have the handout that sort of shows you the results and shows you the average score of each question. Right, so first question was this. The online lectures were well organized and easy to understand. I was a bit curious because edX platform is much more eye-catching than Moodle. If you look at Moodle platform, it's intuitive enough because it's all linear. You have to scroll all the way down, yeah? And the video comes one after another. So it's very straightforward, but it's not really fun to interact with. Right? We are dealing with students who are constantly using Facebook and WhatsApp, right? And they have much better design than Moodle. But having said that, many students liked it. Right? This is the absolute number. Out of 127 students I had, more than 100 students said, wow, that was great. Right? I mean, 4 and 5. If you look at the percentage, then close to 80% said Moodles are fine. So sometimes I think we worry too much. Well, it doesn't look pretty, you know. Moodle isn't the best platform, but it seems students don't care much. At least the students I had didn't care much about that. I think that's how I interpret this. Second question, the online lectures helped me prepare for the tutorial discussion and exercises. Again, overwhelming majority of the students said, yeah, it was helpful to prepare for the tutorial discussions and other activities. Right. That's the actual number. Again, close to. Oh, another thing I'd like to note. Across all the 6 questions, about 20 to 30 students are always neutral. In other words, they don't really care. It doesn't matter for them whether the lecture is online or face-to-face. They always choose 3. Right? So 25% of the students I had at least could go either way. Right? It doesn't seem to be important for them. But the rest, you know, they really think that it helped them to better prepare for the tutorials and other exercises. That's the percentage. And here, it's even more positive. They liked it because they can manage their time better. I think this is what Ricky was talking about, right? Many students have lots of whole activities and this and that. But if your lecture's online, they can watch it on 2 a.m., right? 3 a.m. And I haven't really analyzed the backend data, but I'm now curious. I will go back and take a look and see what time those students did the interactive multiple choice quizzes on Moodle, because I can tell the time. Maybe I will see many of them doing the multiple choice quizzes 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I'll be curious. Yeah, but it seems many students like the fact that they have 2-hour free time on campus. They can do whatever they want, and they can watch those lecture videos later or earlier if they want. Yeah. So this was another positive feedback we got. And then I also asked, okay, do you think everything should have been online instead of doing 5 face-to-face? No, sorry, 8 face-to-face, but 6 face-to-face lectures and 5 online lectures, right? This is kind of split, I guess, right? Some students, close 50 students out of 127 says, yeah, everything could be online. Agree, strongly agree. Right? Other students said, no, I want to keep some face-to-face component in the lectures. Again, tutorials were all face-to-face, but I'm asking about lectures. Right? 38 students, which is close to 30%, they said, either way. Yeah. So at least for my class, it seems most students want to keep some sort of face-to-face lecture time. Yeah. But it's really split on this one. 2 more questions. This course should have been taught weekly by face-to-face lecture with no online lecture component. So, I don't know if you're trained in social sciences, we do this, right? In the survey, you ask exact same questions with different wordings and compare the consistency of the respondents. And I think it's quite consistent. So I just flipped the question, right? How about we do everything face-to-face like normally and no online component? Would you like that? Majority of them said no. We would like to keep online lectures to a certain degree at least. Yeah. Right. So that's 62.3%. Last question. Okay, what about the amount of online lecture versus face-to-face lecture? Was it too much or too little? Again, let's look at the percentage. Around 30% neutral. They don't have any strong opinion either way. Around 50, 60%, 62% said, well, yeah, it's about right. And others said, no, it wasn't right. So I don't know if they think it was too much or too little. That's where qualitative analysis comes in. And I originally wanted to invite students, and I thought it would be easy. I had 127 students. 1 or 2 would be available, right? I thought it's 4 days before the semester starts. None of them was available. Right? Many students emailed me saying that, hey, Masato, I want to help you, but I won't be in Hong Kong. So I got lots of those emails. And I specifically target some students, hey, can you help me? But they said, well, sorry, I've already committed to this and that, so I couldn't find any students. So I'm sorry to tell you that we have no students who are actually in the classroom to share their experience from their point of view. But to supplement that, I distributed the summary of the students' comments. Which I can. Right. So this was prepared by, oops, sorry. And I cannot see well. All right. So this was prepared by Ricky's research team. I gave him the original feedback from all 127 students. Well, actually, and then they helped me summarize them. And these are some positive comments, and they, classified each comment into different categories. And these are what students were saying, and also the negative side comments that I got for that. So when you have time, you can go through them, I think. And if you're really interested, I can also share this is the original comment. So I got the comment from every single student here. And this is the original data for the summary sheet you're looking at. Right? So if you're interested in this original, I can also share this with you. And you realize that we actually have 129 respondents, even though I only had 127 students. Yes, how does that work? I think 4 or 5 students actually did this survey twice. Right? And there are some students who didn't do it. So out of 120 students, I would say probably around 120 to 123 students actually responded. And some of them did it twice. So keep that in mind. That might have the glitch I have in the data, right? It wasn't that rigorous research. I was just wanted to get the feel of what students thought about, so I just ignored that. All right, so that's pretty much it. I think if you have any questions, now is the time, I guess.
Any questions for Masato? Please.
Right, Thomas? Yeah.
Masato, in
Yeah.
terms of preparation,
Yes.
how much time did it take you to
Okay.
How much time did it take you in terms of lecture preparation, getting it filmed, and so on and so forth?
Well,
in addition to what you would normally have done just to run the course in the old way.
Okay, that's a really good question. Well, producing MOOC is really time consuming. I would even dare to say that it takes 10 times more time than doing a lecture, regular teaching. Because every single word you speak in the video has to be scripted. When you script your own lecture, you realize that there are so many things that you just repeat. So you have to really have a solid script. To write that only takes a long time. And in my case, news examples had to be international. In Hong Kong teaching, I use lots of local news examples, and I would assume that every student already know about the news. And for the MOOC, I couldn't do that. So for the MOOC preparation, it takes long time. As you know, you've already done one segment for the Faculty of Medicine. But using the MOOC material for online teaching, for me, was very easy. I would say 30 minutes max, right? Because when I wrote the syllabus, I already decided which part of my teaching has to be online and what sort of exercise and activities I want to give them. So I already had the plan. So the actual time I spent to prepare the online part was around 30 minutes, I'd say.
So what would you estimate for somebody who has not done a MOOC before? Assume I've never done a MOOC.
Yeah.
I want to take my course online. It's a course I've been teaching for many years.
Right.
Maybe it's a question for both of you, really. In terms of how much time should I prepare? And assume it's an regular first year, second year, common core level undergraduate course, so not too complex, but a lot of material. So how much preparation time do you think, off the top of your head?
Well, in an ideal situation, if I could decide, I would like to have one semester dedicating to develop the online content and then teach that course in the following semester. Yeah. So my idea, and another thing is that if you're teaching another class and then doing the MOOC at the same time, it's really painful. And I wouldn't recommend that to anybody because it lowers the quality of both courses. So if you could dedicate 3 months and a half just to produce for online courses, maybe summertime, right? And then you just do that. And then if you have that body of videos and exercise already readily available, and then the following semester you can teach online course and also another probably face-to-face course. That would be easy. So I would say 3 months and a half to 4 months, basically one semester. Yeah. But I know in Hong Kong that's impossible.
Speaking of impossibility, we are trying to make it possible.
Really?
Yeah. But by trying to do as many things that we can do for you, so that you just need to do your own unique part. Basically, it's what Masato has mentioned earlier, is the script. So there are various ways to get the script. One way that we try many times actually was to get the original lectures that you actually gave in the lecture rooms. Some of us actually use the Panopto to record the lectures. And we use that to make an initial draft of the script. And then we just iterate with the teacher to fine-tune the script. Once the script is ready, everything else can be done by us. And then you just need to find time to do the filming. We have the teleprompter and all this equipment to help you to read out the script, and we can do all the post-processing for you. So that's a kind of quite viable workflow in the sense that you don't really need to have a full-time 3 months to do it because it's kind of really impossible from a management point of view. But doing it part-time is still, kind of feasible in that sense. Right? So the key is to get the script ready. And the script can only be done by the teacher himself or herself.
Right. But I would like to argue that, though, for my MOOC, every video is 3 minutes to 5 minutes, and no longer than that. So each video clip has to be really short. Otherwise, it doesn't work on MOOC. So you can't just, translate your 2-hour lecture material into video lecture, because that's very painful for the students to watch as well. Yeah.
Great points. And I like to argue back by, because we have instructional designers on our team, and we also have instructional design experts in Center for Enhancement of Teaching Learning. So our job is actually to look into your long script for 1 hour, 2-hour lectures and divide into chunks so that you can suit the 6-7 minute chunks in the studio or in a location that will suit the context of the course. So that's something that we can also help, right?
Right.
Just to supplement.
Yeah, no, I think that has to be in mind when you design a MOOC as well. So chunking and modulating your lecture is the way to go, I believe. Yeah. Yes.
Thanks. Thanks for a really wonderful presentation. It's really useful. I've been thinking about doing a MOOC myself, teaching in science and in medicine. One of the main things which holds me back is when I look at the competition. If I look at the very top best MOOCs, several of which I've taken myself coming out of Berkeley and Harvard and so on, and I think, okay, I'd like to do something to reach a broad audience, so it needs to be an introductory course. Then I think, about the effort to compete at that sort of level and provide something extra. And I don't want the students thinking, well, why should I be taking this MOOC when, at Berkeley they did something of that standard 6 years ago, and they got the next generation and it's presented by a Nobel laureate and so on, and things like that. So, what would your comment be in response to that? About, is it always necessary to have a particular, say, Hong Kong angle on a particular MOOC, or?
Ricky, do you have answer to?
Maybe you can start with your personal
experience. My personal experience is a bit different because I started with that mindset as well. But when I did the research, I realized that there was no online course in my particular field. There was no online course in media literacy. There was no online journalism course except training courses for people who want to be journalists. There are many online journalism training courses, but there was no journalism courses for news audience. And my course was designed to become better news consumers. So I had no competition. And so I was comfortable in saying that, well, I'm one of the first to do this as a MOOC. And after I did that, there are there are now 3 or 4 in my field on MOOC. And I called my thing Making Sense of News. That was the title I used. And there's this center called News University in the US. They provide lots of online journalism trainings. They are starting their own news literacy course called Making Sense of Information. And that's starting this August. And I'm thinking, I don't know if they copied me or not, but it looks like, that it will inevitably happen, and I think it's a good thing. Students have choices. But I also understand, if I'm teaching, let's say, statistics, I have taken many good statistics courses online. I would just tell the students, well, take this course from UC Berkeley. It was great. So I see no point of offering as a Hong Kong U lecturer to teach the same thing. I can just refer them to other MOOCs. And, Ricky was mentioning that we should work together across the universities and across the world, and I think that's what's happening. I mean, just last week, MIT decided to put every single course online. So now if you go to MIT website, every single course undergrad needs to take is online now. Not all of them have videos, but many of them already have videos. So all the activities, exercises, syllabus readings, and teachers' feedbacks for some students, they are all available online. So I think that's where we are headed, whether we like it or not. Yeah.
I also like to again supplement what Masato provided. Speaking from a teacher's point of view, it's really like writing a textbook. So when we do our teaching in a classroom in a traditional way, we kind of syndicate contents, right? By using other people's contents and add our, supplemental contents and so on. If you get to the point that you feel that you have some unique insights or contents yourself, you go about writing a textbook. So I guess the MOOC thing is something like that. Right? The university actually hasn't put a restriction on what kind of contents we want to put, to the wider world. But I guess the mindset would be for us teacher, we use, an honest evaluation of our content. If it's really like, Calculus 101, there are so many courses like that, and I don't really have a unique pedagogy, then why bother? Right? That's not worth the while to do. Right? But then I strongly believe that if you are really into the subject, right, even for introductory level course, you might have your own way of looking at the contents, or your own way of testing students' understanding. Then there's a new ecosystem in the university, for example, is you start with small steps, try to do a few lectures first, and then scale up into a SPOC for your class or even for the sister institutions. You test your ideas. Just like when we develop textbook, myself develop textbook, I do this. Everybody do this. Right? You use our class to test your textbook contents. And up to a point, it becomes mature enough, you become a MOOC. Right? You face the world. Right? I guess that's the way to go to that path instead of trying to find a niche or something. For Masato, it's a lucky story in the sense that the field is relatively undeveloped in the MOOC field. Then we have a first mover advantage, but there are already copycats coming along.
I would say copycat maybe because preparing for MOOC takes a long time. So maybe we are thinking during the same time. I just went first, but maybe they were preparing when we came up with the idea.
But that was really useful today, seeing that link from flipped classroom into MOOC, rather than having to take the step all the way to MOOC at once. You can start with just a few lectures.
Yeah. That's what the way that I want to advocate. Right? We start with small steps, try out a few lectures that you feel you really want to make quality time in a classroom first. Because I have a colleague came to me last week from a Department of Radiology. He's a young professor, and he felt that talking about this anatomy chart in a classroom for 2 hours is a pain in the neck for both the teacher and the students. So why bother? Let's flip it. And then students do some evaluations of the anatomy charts on X-ray, whatever, and then they come to classroom and work together to analyze the patient's case, that kind of stuff. It's quality time, quality work. Right? So you start with these small steps, and we will be with you at the beginning. And when you scale up to a spot, we will help you to do that. When you feel you are confident enough to face the world, we will help you to do that. Right? So that's the way that we want to advocate. Although for Masato's case, I want to also supplement a bit of history. The university actually signed on to the platform in a rush, right? And therefore we need to deliver. And so we quickly recruit a bunch of quick learners, fast people, and then we did all those MOOCs first. And then we repurposed them back on campus. That's not the right way to go, in my opinion. We better start from inside and enlarge our impact.
Right. Yeah. I think it helps your research too. I mean, even if there are many people who are doing...
Yeah, please talk about your research. Yeah.
No, I mean...
Based on the MOOC.
Well, learning analytics can be really useful if you're into that kind of research. So that's something that I discussed in the previous talk. But here I want to mention that once you offer a MOOC in a particular field, there are some other researchers who are sort of doing the similar things all over the world. They will contact you. I got so many emails from people I've never met or heard of, emailing me saying that, well, I'm thinking about this research design. Would you like to collaborate? That happens a lot nowadays. I was invited to Russia to present the MOOC and the learning analytics this November. It wouldn't have happened if I didn't offer MOOC. I got 3 invitations to the conferences and workshops by Indian universities, all in January, and unfortunately I cannot go because our semester is starting, but it's really gratifying to receive that kind of invitations because it's a recognition in a way, and I can sort of see the future of collaborating with those people to do some research in my field. So I think it personally helps too for career development, I think. Yeah.
More questions, please?
Thanks, Masato. And I think for the course that you run, that you're planning for an international audience at the beginning, right? But often when we teach in a class, we have to consider our local student. So do you find you need to juggle a little bit? Because in the MOOC, you have international audience, international students, you call it international examples. Whereas where you teach in your course in Hong Kong, you want to look for local examples. So do you find as a teacher, when you have different audience, you have to juggle these kind of things all the time?
Uh, I think that's a good point, and that's something that I should keep in mind next time I run a MOOC, I guess. Because when I did it, like I said, when you teach in Hong Kong at the university, you know your students. You know their background, you know their age, what they like, what they don't like. I have a pretty good idea about who my students are. For the MOOC, I had no idea, so I just assumed that. So I had the target audience in mind, like 17 to 20 years old, university freshmen or senior high school students in the US, India, and Philippines, and elsewhere who's interested in media studies. So that was the target I had. But after I ran the course, if I look at the learning analytics, the average age for the students was 28. Many of them already have bachelor's degree. Some of them have master's degree, and others already. I had 20 students who already have PhD, and so it was very different. So I will be working on another MOOC for Coursera, and that one we are jointly doing it with Stony Brook University. For that one, we really have to think about the target audience because I didn't do that for the first MOOC. So when I transferred MOOC content into local teaching, I added lots of local news examples and readings as a supplement. So you see lots of links underneath the video. So those are the things students have to read, and that wasn't required for my online students. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Again, I'd like to supplement a little bit about the advantage of doing MOOC or SPOC or larger scale teaching online is that you can actually syndicate contents from your students. Because I remember the architecture course, Professor David Long asked the students to send in their pictures of local architecture, and then we can share and talk about why this building is still here, what it's being used for, and so on. And I remember you did something like that too, right? To syndicate the news content, local content. Yeah, you might want to elaborate.
Yeah, so when I did the assignments, local Hong Kong students, I'll be a bit more strict and specific. But for the global audience, I just said, can you find a similar example in your community? And then send a link and also explain a little bit and post it on forum. So in a way, it was very different model of teaching. But that kind of examples I get from online students can be used for on-campus teaching. And some of the examples that online students gave me are used in my campus teaching. So it helps each other, I think. Yeah.
It actually is a realization of a very nice pedagogy concept of co-creating contents with your students. Right? Because it's not something that can be feasibly done before, without MOOC or SPOC, that kind of thing. But now it's really exciting because you can actually collect timely teaching and learning objects from your students and then share out to other students. And we both learn from each other. One last question, perhaps? Yes.
Thank you for coming to speak. I think one question I had was, from your experience in a MOOC, has it encouraged you to do flipped classroom in other courses that you're teaching that are not MOOC? For example, classes that you're teaching on campus. Have you experimented with creating video lectures just for those courses?
Well, my boss is here, and that's what she wants to do, I guess. But, well, yes and no. I think there are certain courses that are suitable for MOOC. So my news literacy course is definitely a good candidate for MOOC because it's for news consumption. Whereas I teach another class called online journalism. That's a class where I teach how to actually build news stories for online audience. It's very hands-on. We talk about videography, we talk about photography, we talk about building websites, cascading style sheet. Those kind of courses I cannot see myself teaching online. I have to meet the students in the classroom, and I actually have to see what they do with the computers over the shoulders. Otherwise, I don't know how to teach that kind of thing. So I think it depends on the content of the class, I think. Yeah.
Actually, we do have plans to roll out more MOOCs, hopefully, also with Ricky's help and support. Because we did the other way around this time, as Masato said, right? You start with the MOOC, and then you do the courses, right? And then, but we're taking stock of the courses that we are offering now, like media law, which has heavy, intensive learning pedagogical content. Is strongly theory and knowledge based. It's not practical, not just practical. And that would be a top candidate, for instance. Even entrepreneurial journalism, when you talk about theories and principles, right? And like business journalism. And then we have an advantage, even there are other courses out there in journalism, but we're in Asia, so we have specific content. The idea is that if you want to learn about China, you want to learn about Asia on this subject, you come to us. We are the expert, and we should be the expert. So that's how we look at it. So.
Thank you, Ying. Thank you all for coming. Let us stop here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Masato.
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.